Hola, hola, hola. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's still morning. No, actually, it's afternoon. Hey, welcome to the podcast Mujer de Exito, Unbounded, Woman of Success Without Limits. Let's talk about what is happening today. What am I talking about? Well, I want to share with you that over the weekend, I actually was out of the country. And so today is the soul of Morelia. Todo pasa por una razón. Everything happens for a reason. Hey, everybody. Welcome. My name is Marti Angel. Welcome to another episode of Mujer de Exito, Unbounded, Woman of Success Without Limits. And today I'm so excited to start this series. I want to share my adventures that just happened in Morelia, and what actually happened and how it all came together and how everything happens for a reason. I am your host, Marti Angel, and I'm so incredibly grateful. Gracias por estar aquí. If you are watching me on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, remember to subscribe and hit the bell. And remember that all of the links that I will talk about today will be in the description below. If you're listening to me wherever you listen to your favorite shows, gracias por estar aquí. Remember, the audios always drop on Fridays, and you can watch me live on Wednesdays here, 12:30 my time, which is San Diego time. And I want to make sure that you know that we are always here to greet you, to share with you. So let's get to it. Okay. There are moments in life where, when everything feels like it's falling apart, right? There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. Yet in truth, mujeres hermosas chulas, it is failing into place or filing or falling into place, any way you look at it. And that's kind of what happened to me. No matter what happens, remember this: todo pasa por una razón. There was so much fear in my body when I was going through this, but I wanted to share this story. So I put together, it's a long story, not too long, but it's a very intricate story. So I'm starting a 4-part series. You see, we don't always see it when we're in the middle of the storm. When we're in the middle of the storm, it's almost impossible for us to really take a look and say, oh, this is happening for that reason. A veces no podemos ver por qué pasan las cosas. Pasan porque Dios es grande, pasan porque tenemos que tener milagros diario, pero cuando miramos hacia atrás, when we finally look behind us, suddenly the divine choreography becomes clear. As I was writing this podcast, I want you to know, as I was writing the script, I was remembering a lot of things that happened. And once I was done with this series, I realized, writing the whole series, I realized, whoa, that's why things happened. So a few days ago, I found myself rushing through the airport, right? Excited for my trip. It was 4:00 in the morning on Thursday, October 30th. And I was excited for my trip to Morelia because it was on my bucket list to be there, to be in the heart of Dia de los Muertos. I wanted to experience it. And in Morelia, it is the most expansive celebration, most beautiful celebration, right? So my heart was racing with anticipation, culture, history, mi gente. Dia de los Muertos in the capital of Michoacán. Now, even though when you fly, there's always butterflies any way you look at it. But this one was a little bit more. In an instant, those little butterflies in my stomach began to feel like overwhelming. Everything shifted. There was an airline error. Confusion followed. My husband and I suddenly got separated. I was taken off the bus to get to the plane, the shuttle to get to the plane. And I remember thinking, oh no, why is this happening? We got here early enough. And then, because I'm a worrywart, fear crept in. My husband was sent by the young man that was part of the airline to go check in a bag that they said was too big, which, interestingly enough, there was a young lady from the same airline, and she looked at the bag and she tagged it and said it was fine. But the young man at the gate didn't allow me. So he didn't allow me to have it. And so my husband was told, you've got to go all the way out, all the way back to the check-in desks, and then you've got to check it in and then come through. There was only 10 to 15 minutes left before actually the end of boarding. All of a sudden, I felt my heart drop, and my husband says to me, whatever happens, don't get on the plane. And then the unknown happened. But I do want you to know that this wasn't just to us. It was to a group of people. But part of me wanted to give up and go home. Parte de mí dijo, esta es una señal. This is a signal. This means I'm not supposed to go. And then my fear kept up, and I thought, no, I'm learning from my Kabbalah and from my mentor to take a breath and say, okay, this is good. This is good. Everything is good. Even though it looks bad, everything is good. Part of me wanted to give up and go home because I kept saying, es una señal. It's a signal that I shouldn't go. That's what I thought. But then I touched my heart, and faith whispered louder than fear. I prayed. I breathed. I waited. And then all of a sudden we were given a chance to rebook. But before that, there was a young lady, and I still remember her name. Her name was Raquelita. And she was at the where you pick up your bags at the bag check, right? Because they took my bag off of the plane, and I didn't know where my husband was. And so we were trying to call each other, and you know how horrible the connection can be when you're in the airport. But we finally were able to reconnect because, as we say in Spanish, porque Dios es muy grande, because God is huge, right? And we were able, through her, because I really believe that God was working through her. She was the mediator and was able to reconnect both my husband and I, because he was on the Mexican side and I was on the American side. And it was crazy. But through her workings, we were able to reconnect. We finally got to each other, and we went to the actual, booking line again, and we rebooked. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. We wanted to rebook for that same afternoon. There were no flights available. And then we wanted to reboot, for that evening, no flights. There was only one flight for the following morning, leaving at the same time, but it was a flight with one stop. So we went ahead and we booked that. The next morning, la siguiente mañana, before the sun rose, we boarded again. We were tired. We were humbled. We were holding hope gently in our hands. As we felt each other's hands, we looked at each other and we said, God is with us. I trusted, if I am meant to be there, I will be there. And then we got, on the plane, yet we sat in the plane on the tarmac for about an hour and 15. The flight was delayed, and we had a connection in Puerto Vallarta. OMG. How were we going to get there? Because there was only a 1 hour layover in Mazatlan. From Tijuana to Mazatlan, there was only 1 hour layover, and then it was going to fly to Morelia. But now we had been on the tarmac for a whole hour. Oh my goodness. Something inside me started to well up, that fear, the worry. And then I took a deep breath, and something inside me softened. The air felt sacred. All of a sudden, I thought, this is it. And I looked up and I said to God, I surrender myself, this flight, my visit, and everything to you, dear Lord. Let me accept what it is you have in store for me. The air then, all of a sudden, like I said before, felt sacred. The light almost golden. And when we actually landed, it was beautiful. It was crazy, but beautiful, because we landed in Puerto Vallarta, and luckily, the airline knew that there was quite a big group of us that needed to run. And it was so crazy because the connection was to the point where we had to disembark the plane, leave the terminal, go to the other terminal, and go through security again to get the other plane that actually made it to Morelia. I want you to know something, okay? Quiero que sepan algo. Siendo maestra de aerobics, being in aerobics, I know how fast, and luckily, thank goodness, I'm in good shape. Because as we were leaving, the beauty about it was that las sobrecargos y luego, the flight crew said, everybody please stay down and let the people that are going to catch this connecting flight through. And they did. It was amazing. It was amazing. So many people just smiling and cheering us on as we, grabbed our stuff and we were running. I mean, we were literally running. I mean, my husband was trying to pull me, and if you know anything, I have short legs. He's got long legs. And finally, I let go, and I said, don't pull me. I'll run. And we're running, and the people behind me were running, and there was a young lady, and she said, I'm not letting you go. She was in her mid-20s. She said, oh, my God, I'm on this flight by myself. And I said, well, come with me, mija. Let's do this together. So we ran, and we got to, we ran out of that actual, airport, ran across to the other side and went into the airport, went through security. Thank God there was no line, and then ran to the other plane. The doors were about to close. I looked at the doors, and they were about to close, and I thought, oh, Lordy, dear Lord, Diosito, ayúdanos. And we kept running, and the gal heard us, and she opened the door, and she said, we were waiting for all of you. And as they were coming in, we were able to get in our seats, and everything was good. As I counted the people behind us, I thought, maybe there was 5 or 6 of us. A lo mejor pensé que a lo mejor nada más éramos unos 5 o 6. No, there was about 15 to 20 people that needed to get over. We just happened to run so fast, we were the first ones on the plane. And we made it. We made it to the plane. We sat down, and it was a quick 40 minutes to Morelia. Whoosh. I was so, so incredibly grateful. And as I looked at my husband, I knew down deep inside me that God had wanted us to be there. I didn't know the reason, but I knew that the reason would be clear within the next few days. As we landed, music, laughter, and the scent of marigolds filled the streets. It was beautiful. It was, and marigolds, the cempasúchil, that's what they're called. Everywhere, guiding souls, guiding hearts, and then a moment that changed everything. In the church built by the people, we went to the indigenous. We went to experience the beauty of the indigenous people. We went to experience the peace, the livelihood of the indigenous people, the Purapechas. Some know it as the Tarascan, but they know each other as the Purapechas. And all over the cemetery, we visited cemeteries. We booked a tour, and it was beautiful. We were going to visit cemeteries. It was going to be an all-nighter from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was there for it all. And when we got there, amazing. There was culture, there was music, there was color, there was camaraderie, there was reverence, there was peace, there was gratitude. In the church built by these people, by the ancestors of these people, I kneeled before her, an indigenous Purapecha healer, as she lifted a crown of sorts with intricate writings on it, praying softly in her native language and ringing a clarifying bell over my head, right? So quiero que sepan que llegamos allí, al panteón, y cuando estaba yo viendo tanto color, tanta historia, tanto amor, tanta música, alegría, pasión, gratitud, todo. Y cuando entré a la iglesia de la Purapecha donde estaban las mujeres, dije yo, Diosito, aquí estoy. The vibration echoed through the ancient walls, as if blessing every soul present. If you're still with me, everybody, thank you for being here. Gracias por estar aquí. My name is Marti Angel. Gracias por estar en Mujer de Exito, Unbounded, Woman of Success Without Limits. If you're watching me on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, remember to subscribe and hit that bell. And if you're listening to me everywhere or anywhere you listen to your favorite shows, gracias, gracias, gracias. Now, I want to take some time. Let me give a side, and I'll come back to the story. I want to give a side because you guys all know that I am all about sharing and blessing the mujerpreneur. And let me tell you, I was so blessed to meet so many mujerpreneurs at the hotel where we were staying. And I want to share with you, look at this beautiful hat made by hand by one of the mujeres there. Este sombrero hermoso and very affordable. Hermoso, hermoso, hermoso. Miren nomás. This, look at this. This is all, this hat right here is, is the terciopelo. It feels like terciopelo, but it's kind of like, it's very soft and it's like suede. And then this is all embroidered. Look at how beautiful. I actually brought 3 home for gifts. Oh my goodness. I was so incredibly grateful. Here's the other thing I want to share with you. Every single one of the mujerpreneurs, gracias. Hermosas, chulas mujeres, si me están escuchando, ustedes que hicieron el sombrero, gracias mujeres, está hermoso, con tanto amor, with so much love, they sold it to me. And what I said to them was, all I ask, I will buy it. All I ask is that you listen to this episode so that you can see your beautiful work. But I want the whole world to see this beautiful work, because these hats were made by the hands of a mujerpreneur. Están hechos estas por las manos de mujeres indígenas, locales, hermosas, chulas. So remember, if you want information, because they have an online store, remember to reach out to me, or if you're watching me on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, the link is in the description below. If you're listening to me wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, go to the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, grab the link. I will also put it in the show notes, but I want you to see the hat. Look at the beauty about the intricacy. Gorgeous. Okay, let's continue with the story. As the curandera, that's what I call her, as the woman ringing the bell and blessing me, which, by the way, I couldn't stop crying. There was something inside me and I was just crying. And I mean, I could have probably filled a whole bucket of tears. It was hermosa. And she was ringing this clarifying bell and speaking, and all I was doing was praying the whole time, praying for the peace in the world, praying for the indigenous people, praying for the migrants, praying for everybody, that we be filled with peace, love, and prosperity. The vibration of this woman and of her, it wasn't just her, it was quite a few women. It looked like a matriarchal, pasture. There were women everywhere, indigenous mujerpreneurs. It echoed through the ancient walls as if the blessing of every soul was present. Like I said, I was crying the entire time. I was praying for the healing of the world and the safety of my loved ones. And in that moment, I began to shake. I knew I was not delayed. I was not delayed in coming to Morelia. I was not delayed in coming to this church. I was not delayed. I was delivered. In that moment, I knew that God had that reason for me, because this was the day of the celebration. This was the day I needed to be there, and God had delivered me here. Delivered to the exact time, the exact energy, the exact purpose meant for me. And in all of my tears and in my body shaking, I felt my mamá in heaven. Sentí a mi madre. I always talk to her when I'm stressed. Siempre platico con mi madrecita, que en paz descanse, y con los angelitos, cada vez que tengo mucho estrés, cada vez que tengo miedo, cada vez que necesito guianza. When I'm unsure, when I need guidance from the Creator, I talk to my mom. And in that moment, I closed my eyes as the tears were streaming down my face, and I heard her. I heard her voice. Mija, sentí mientras las lágrimas me quemaban la cara cuando me estaban escurriendo. Escuché la voz de mi madrecita chula. Mija, todo pasa por una razón. Honra donde estás ahorita. Mija, everything happens for a reason. Honor where you are. Honor la gente. Honor tu misión. I took a deep breath. The lady that was actually blessing me, she kept on. In fact, the gal that was actually videoing the whole situation had stopped videoing, but she kept on because I couldn't stop shaking and crying. I was shaking and crying because I knew that I was at the threshold of a miracle, that I had been delivered there for a reason. We continued our journey through the streets, and as we did, lights glowing, families honoring ancestors, candles everywhere, the heartbeat of tradition, music playing as the people had contacted and actually had a contract with the mariachis and the bandas, and the beautiful music just echoing everywhere. Tradition was echoing through every alley. I knew that I had been sent for a reason. The culture in Morelia is not just seen, it is felt. And if you're with me, like I said before, today is only episode 1. There is so much story that I had to put it into 4 episodes. So make sure that you follow me. Remember to subscribe to the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel so you can hear the rest of the stories, because they are so amazing. And if you're listening to me on the Coach Marti Angel, on the Coach Marti Angel podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, know that you must come back and hear it all. All right. Let's go back into the story. The culture in Morelia is not just seen. It is felt, deep, ancient, powerful. And then destiny showed herself again. We arrived at our hotel, and there they were. I noticed a circle of women. The next morning, after all of this, I looked at the hotel. As we were arriving the hotel, I looked down, and there was a circle of women working together, supporting one another, selling artesanías made with love, sweat, and ancestral skills. Women from their 20s to their 70s, daughters beside mothers, husbands quietly helping sisterhood in action. En that moment, en ese momento, cuando vi a todas las mujeres, I looked up and I asked, Diosito, what is it that you want me to do? Diosito, ¿qué es lo que quieres que haga? I took a deep breath, and as I was there, I felt peace. I felt clarity. I felt the unity. I felt the collaboration, la colaboración de las mujeres. No era competencia. Estas mujeres en cada una de sus mesas, sonriendo, ayudándose una a la otra. I looked and I said, I have been, like I said before, I have been delivered. It was so incredibly beautiful. I walked table to table and I saw purses, jewelry, embroidered textiles, honey, mezcal, handcrafted oils, all of which I bought 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of each thing. As I showed you before, the hat, right? But one table pulled my heart first. Like I said, it was so important. The hats. Why? Because I wear a hat all the time at every one of my podcast shows. hermosos sombreros. And I looked at the hats and I said, oh goodness, I've got to come back to her. 2 hats sat front and center, crafted by a woman of culture with hands that carry generations of artistry. Every stitch she puts on here tells a story. The colors, look at the colors, they're vibrant. The texture, sewn by hand and by machine, with pride and patience. I smiled, she smiled shyly when I picked one up. There was humility. There wasn't pushiness. There was acceptance. Esta mujer que me empezó a mostrar los sombreritos, una mujer linda. And there was power there. She didn't push the sale. She let her work speak. Oh my goodness. She let her work speak. And as I admired it, the women at the other tables whispered, ella hace trabajo hermoso. You should see her other designs. They didn't need to say that. They had their own table with their own products. But this is what I am all about. Esto es lo que siempre enseño. Hay que acordarnos que juntas podemos más. Together we can achieve more. There is beauty. There is passion. There's good luck. There's good energy. There is so much to be said for collaboration over competition. It was amazing. I smiled at the other ladies. I took a deep breath and I just said, this is beautiful, because I felt so good. This is what I teach in my community. Esto es lo que enseño en mi comunidad de mujeres latinas in the Rock Your Business Academy. Colaboración at its highest vibration. There was not one woman trying to shine alone or trying to outshine the other. Every woman was lifting each other up. My eyes filled with tears. Now, let me just say that I am an easy cry, so my eyes filled with tears. Because mujeres hermosas, chulas. I will say it till the day I die. Collaboration over competition is what gets us across the line. Colaboración sobre competencia es lo que nos va a ayudar a ser exitosas juntas. ¿Por qué? Porque juntas podemos más. Nunca se les olvide eso. Este es lo que ejempla una líder. This is what leadership looks like. This, mujeres hermosas chulas, is what community looks like. This is what our ancestors dreamed of for us. In that moment, I looked up and I said, what is it? What is my task here? What is my purpose here? What is it that you want me to do? And in my head and in my heart, I felt my mother's voice, stronger than ever, the love, the peace. And then I felt her say to me, mija, ¿cómo las vas a ayudar? How are you going to help these beautiful women? You were brought here for a reason. In that moment, I got chills. And instantly it came to me. Como un instante, al momento, le pedí a Dios, ¿qué es lo que tengo que hacer? Y de repente sentí el corazón abierto y dije, mi madre está hablando. Mija, tú sabes lo que tienes que hacer. I looked at these women and said, I want to share your gifts with the world. Not for a fee, not for a strategy. Quiero ayudarles, quiero presentar todas sus preciosas artes al mundo, a las mujeres que me escuchan, all of the listeners of Mujer de Exito Unbounded podcast. Quería hacerlo no porque me paguen, no por estrategia, nada, sino que por simplemente el amor a la tradición, a la cultura y a la mujer de éxito, por un legado que siempre vivo, por comunidad. And here's what I told them. I want to feature you on my podcast. I want my comunidad to meet you, to support you, to feel your corazón. Yo quiero ayudarles a ser más exitosas. Their eyes lit up. And then they prayed over me. They called me their angel. But the truth is, amigas hermosas chulas, now voy a empezar a llorar, pero the truth is, la verdad es, I was just answering a call from something greater than me. Solamente estaba escuchando los angelitos, la voz de mi madre, la voz del Creador. Y dije, algo más grande que yo está aquí. So much so that then I looked over to the next table and I want to share with you these beautiful earrings. Let me take one off. And these are also handcrafted. And at this table, en esta mesa, estaba la mamá y la hija. Y estaban enseñando estos aretes. Miren nomás qué hermosos aretes. Handcrafted. Look at this. Gorgeous. Right? No, they're not full gold. They are sort of plated, but it is a different metal. And it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Look at that. And when I put them on, they're not heavy. But I was like, oh, I have to do something. And like I said before, I was just answering a call from something greater. And later on, when actually we got here home, my husband and I looked at each other and said, there is something big that happened. Through the chaos, there was something amazing and beautiful. And later I learned that something divine was engulfing me and helping me. Estas mujeres que venden sus preciosas artesanías, these women, those vendors, they only come Friday through Sunday. We, due to the fact that we missed our flight on Thursday, arrived perfectly Friday. Because of the delayed flight, as I said before, I knew then in that moment, it was God's timing, not mine. Diosito nos puso allí ese día porque Él sabía, era el tiempo de Dios, no el mío. It wasn't chaos, no era caos como yo pensé. Dije yo, este caos nos va a dejar un mal aliento en la boca, y no es cierto. In that moment, I realized it was not chaos. It was divine alignment. I was there the same day that they were. Because when women come together with open hearts, cuando mujeres se unen con los corazones abiertos, we create not just businesses, Empezamos a crear no nada más negocios, pero movimientos, viviendo legados, living legacies that echo through generations. This, my friends, is the beginning of a 4-part episode, like I said, a 4-part journey, because this was only a small introduction part of the journey. Honoring these women, their work, and the spirit of Morelia. In this series, I will share their stories, I will share their products, and their links so you can support them directly. In the next episode, I will introduce you to the mujeres behind the handcrafted hats, handcrafted purses, joyful knitted bears, handcrafted earrings. Mujeres, acuérdense que siempre, siempre, siempre ayudarnos una a la otra a ser exitosa, aunque una llega antes que la otra, es lo mejor de esta vibra que tenemos nosotros las mujeres. Mujer de éxitos. Mujeres de éxito Unbounded. 2 hearts, 2 creative hearts, full of color and tradition. That's what I saw at the tables. What I felt in my heart was warmth, compassion. Trust me, you don't want to miss the rest of the series. Mujeres hermosas, take a look one more time. These are beautiful earrings, beautiful hats, and like I said before, there is other things that I want to share with you. But in this episode, I will share the link. En este episodio, las ligas para que si quieren comprar estos sombreros o estos aretes o algo más, las voy a dejar en la descripción. So if you're watching me on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. And next week is not the continuation of the story, but next week I have an amazing guest who outshines me in every way. This is an amazing woman. So if this episode, si este episodio te tentó el corazón, si la historia te dejó con ansias de escuchar el resto de mi historia, el resto de la historia de mi pasaje, el resto de mi historia de mis vacaciones, acuérdense, ustedes me ayudan a que otras mujeres también escuchen qué hermoso es saber que juntas podemos más. So, if you're watching me on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, remember to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. Share out this episode. If you're listening to me, wherever you listen to your favorite shows, make sure to download the episode and share it out. Share this episode, mujeres. Compartan este episodio and join me in celebrating these mujeres de éxito Unbounded, mujeres emprendedoras. ¿Por qué? Porque ustedes, mujeres hermosas, chulas, gracias. Si me están viendo, mujeres de Morelia, Michoacán, que me vendieron estos aretes, que me vendieron este hermoso sombrero, gracias. Gracias por abrirme los brazos y darme un fuerte abrazo. Yo les dejo muchos besitos a ustedes. Let's show the world what it means to support each other. Vamos a enseñarle al mundo cómo nosotras las mujeres nos podemos apoyar una a la otra sin tener envidia. Let's walk together because juntas podemos más. As always, this is the host of Mujer de Éxito Unbounded, Marti Angel, wishing you the best and most beautiful day ever. dejándolas con un fuerte abrazo y besitos y bendiciones. Todo mundo, have a beautiful day. Namaste. Gracias, gracias, gracias.